In the far reaches of the cosmos, beyond the stars and the realms of mortal understanding, there was a god. This god was not like others who ruled over fire, water, or the earth. This god was a god of memories, a deity responsible for keeping the threads of time woven together with the memories of all beings, mortal and divine. The god existed in a vast, ethereal palace made of shimmering threads of light that pulsed with the memories of every living soul. In each room of the palace, countless orbs floated, each containing the life story of an individual, some bright with joy, others dark with sorrow. The god moved through these rooms, ensuring that no memory was ever lost or forgotten. The god's own memories, however, were stored in the heart of the palace, in a place where only the god itself could go. For eons, the god fulfilled its duty without fail. Mortals lived their lives, and when they passed, their memories were collected and preserved in the palace. The god took great care to ensure that even the smallest details were not lost to time. But as the centuries rolled on, the god began to notice something strange. Some of the orbs, particularly those of the most ancient beings, began to dim. It was as if the memories inside were slipping away, becoming hazy and incomplete. The god was troubled. This had never happened before. In an attempt to understand, the god ventured to the heart of the palace, where its own memories were kept. The god thought that perhaps in its own past, there would be an answer to this growing problem. But when the god arrived at the heart of the palace, it found the chamber empty. The orbs that should have contained the god's own memories were gone. Panicked, the god searched every corner of the palace, but to no avail. Its memories were simply missing. With no memories of its own, the god realized with a start that it could no longer remember its own name. It was as if a part of its very essence had been erased. The god wandered the palace, now a stranger in its own home, searching desperately for something that would jog its memory. But nothing worked. The god could still perform its duties, still gather and protect the memories of others, but it could not remember its own identity. As time went on, the god became more and more despondent. Without a name, without memories of its own, it felt like it was losing its sense of self. The palace, once vibrant and full of light, began to dim as well. The god feared that if it could not remember its name, it might one day forget how to preserve the memories of others too. One day a mortal soul arrived in the palace. This was nothing unusual, except that the orb containing this soul's memories shone more brightly than any the god had ever seen. Curious, the god approached the orb and peered inside. What it saw was a life full of wonder, joy, pain, and love. Everything that made a life worth remembering. But at the center of this mortal's memories was something the god had never expected to find. The mortal, in life, had been a great storyteller, beloved by many. One of the stories the mortal told was about a god who watched over memories, who ensured that nothing was ever forgotten. The story spoke of this god with reverence and affection, but it also mentioned something that struck a deep chord within the god. The mortal had given the god a name. It was not the name the god had originally possessed. Indeed, the god could not even remember if it had ever had a name like this, but it was a name nonetheless. The mortal had called the god Mnemosyne, after the ancient titaness of memory from human mythology. As the god watched the memory of the mortal telling this story, it felt a spark of recognition, not in its mind, but in its very essence. Mnemosyne, the god whispered to itself, and for the first time in eons, it felt whole again. The name was not its original one, but it was a name it could claim, a name that gave it back a sense of identity. With this new name, the god found its purpose renewed. It would continue to watch over the memories of all beings, and though it might never recover its original identity, it had found a new one, born from the stories of those it protected. And so, Mnemosyne, the god of forgotten memories, continued its eternal duty, now with a name that reminded it of the power and importance of stories, of the memories that connect all beings across time and space.